All right, guys. I have a little double espresso. Oh man, I'm tired. Been working on the sprinkler system. Ah. And I started doing that in the middle of the day because I've been working on a set of plans for the past week and a half, just tweaking and readjusting measurements, and finally got it done. I'm gonna go to the city next week and present it to see if how much it's gonna cost to, the square footage and all that. And then I was gonna go to the boat today. I found a little tubing. I returned the big tube back to Amazon, and I went and got the little tubing that by coincidence I stopped at Captain's Locker and I showed him the old one. He goes, "Yeah, I think I have one." Boom. He took it out. He goes, "Bingo, that's it." So I packed that with grease over here because I'm a little gun. Pack the whole tubing, so when I put the cable in there, it's gonna have a lot of grease. Attach it, done, and then do some more miscellaneous I gotta do. But uh, my lady is not here today. She went out with the girls for a weekend. She deserves a break. She works very hard. And I said, "Go ahead, have fun." She's coming tomorrow. So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go to the boat and I'll leave Papa here." Well, Papa wouldn't have it. Man, when he saw me getting in the car and Mama wasn't around, he went nuts. And he pushed open the gate. Apparently the gate wasn't shut correctly. He pushed it open. He ran out. He was running around looking for her. Went to the front door, and I'm going, what's wrong? And he started howling, and he didn't want to be left alone. And he had like a anxiety attack, you know. I'm going, whoa, this dog is not doing well. So I said, okay, I'll stay, you know. And I got him in the truck with me because I was going to go to Home Depot. Couldn't even leave him here for that. So didn't go to the boat. Now that Bearpaw's not around, he probably feels that he's going to be abandoned because we used to take off before and they were both of them together and they would keep each other company. And they got used to that routine so they were pup. But now he's alone and I have to be around or mama. And I said, well, because that was the plan. She was going to go to the casinos and I was going to go to the boat. He was going to stay here. But he didn't want to. He just can't be alone. So when I started working on the pipe back there, he would go and sit with me and keep me company. And then I would move. He would come drink water. He would look for me again, and then he would go to the next spot and sit there, and then he would sit there. He's attached. He's been with me since he was a puppy. So I couldn't go to the boat. And then it's kind of windy. When it's breezy here, it's kind of windy down at the marina, and the boat is kind of being banged around. And not banged around. Look at that. Not banged around, but the ropes. You hear the ropes being pulled, and So I'll go during the week. In the meantime, I got something done. Like I always say. And now I'm shopping for one of the next projects is gonna be removing that gravel, washing it, pouring concrete and then placing the rock back down. So I'm shopping for a concrete mixer. Um, and I want something small, something portable. And we used to have the professional concrete mixer in construction, and you can tow that behind the truck and take it anywhere. So we will have like a pallet of cement in the truck. We already had the sand and gravel being delivered. Or I would take it with, we had a dump truck. I would take it with the dump truck, and then I would show up with the cement and the concrete mixer in the back, and take it to the job site and start working from there. And I would do the mixing. We had the guys doing, if we're gonna do stucco, we had to do the Bronco first, and I had the ball rolling. I had the guys busy, and we would do a building in a day. Small building, two-story building, a few apartments. But we had all the scaffolding up. We had everybody in place, and we had a couple of guys taking the wheelbarrows to the foot of the scaffolding and put it on big buckets, haul it up, and feed everybody, supply everybody with cement mixed, and apply the Bronco. So there are all kinds of mixers, all kinds. And what I want is something small, and I think I'm gonna get the one that is like a wheelbarrow. It has the little wheels, and you roll it to the spot while it's turning, and just and you dump it. That's a good that's a good setup, and it's small enough that I can store it back in there and maybe take it apart. But I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the side, and then I'm gonna do the front walk. So I need a wheelbarrow concrete mixer. It handles about three cement bags, 60 pounders, or two 80 pounders. We did this big. This is six by six by Jesus Christ. It must have been 8 inches or so, 9 inches. It was deep because there used to be a rotten tree log, a trunk here when we bought the house, and I took it out. It used to be an old oak that probably covered the whole yard, and that's what caused all the cracks on the cement. But between my lady and me, we mixed it up in a wheelbarrow. We put in here like, I don't know, almost 20 sacks of cement. I think it was like 18 or something. And man, at the end of the day, we were so achy because I mixed it up in the wheelbarrow. Won't do that again. I need a mixer. Where are you, Papa? He's on the sofa taking a nap. Yeah, I feel bad for him. I feel sad for him. So yeah, that's gonna be the deal. Um, I'm thinking on doing a addition to one of my properties that I have on a corner. It's got a big lot, and before selling it, I said, I always wanted to make this house bigger and add the space because it has the room for it. And I went last week, and I took some new measurements and double checked the old measurements, and it turns out that I had some measurements that were a little bit off. So I corrected those, and to make sure that everything's going to be, on the money when I go to the city. And I'm contemplating on doing that addition. I'm going to add around 487 square feet total. So But now the way the banks are with the interest, I don't know what's going to happen there because I can't pull a loan with a high interest like that. So I'm going to have to see what's going to happen. But I want to check with the city and see if the city can let me get away with something. They require 15 feet from the rear, from the yard, the fence. But being that the house is in a corner lot, the fence is coming at an angle. So at the right side of the house, I have roughly mm, about 25, 26 feet. But the fence is kind of cutting in more and more and more. When it goes by the left side of the house in the corner, I got 7.5 feet. And I said, one time I called the city and I said, hey, this is the way they build it. It's a track home. You're going to have to grandfather it in. You go, well, come by and let's see what you got. And so what I did is, being that I know they're going to be asking for the 15, from that point where the fence is, I had to go down the wall 15 feet to start the new construction from the point of that fence to the wall, to the new wall. But being that the fence keeps cutting in until 29, 30 feet down the line, that's what I have on the side of the house. I got about 30, 31 feet. Maybe 30, 31, 32 feet. I got to double check the measurement. By the time it keeps coming in and in and in like that, the end of the new addition is going to be only 13 feet. So I keep moving it away and away from the freaking fence. So I'm going to see if I can get away with that 13-footer distance, and see if they say, okay, well, you have enough here, then 13 and a half, I think it was 13 and a half feet, that should be sufficient. And if I get the okay on that, I'm going to have them stamp it, signed it, so they don't change their minds later. It's been known to happen. I did an addition on this rear of this property for this lady, and she had like 44 feet behind her house. And I did the plans, the preliminary plans, with a 2-story, 3-bedroom, bath on top, bath on the bottom, bath and shower. I made the kitchen big. I made the living room big. Laundry and an attached garage. And I had all the setbacks, what they wanted. So I take it to the city. The guy looks at it and he gives me the okay. And I say, okay, go ahead and sign it. He stamped it. So I started working on the plans, did everything, got the engineering finished and everything, took it to the city, and then the city says no. And I said, well, what do you mean no? Look at the preliminary plan, it's approved. Oh no, because we don't allow attached garage. It has to be detached. And I said, well, first of all, there's no room for a detached garage. Why do you want a detached garage? Oh, the fire department. So what does the fire department has to do with a detached garage? You got space. You got a setback on the side. You got setbacks on the back. And by the way, in the back of the house was facing a parking lot that it was a bank, and there was a big parking lot. And I said, there isn't any fire in the back that they want to go towards the back. They can just pull up and just hose over the side of the wall. Looking down, because the garage was a little higher, the parking lot was a little higher in elevation. And I said, and you guys approved it. Oh, no, 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 no. So I said, look, the engineering is done. It cost me money. And I worked I worked on this plant, uh, you know, for a month and a half or so, trying to get everything correctly. It was about a month. And well, you had to meet with the main inspector. So I made an appointment and and showed him the plans, explained everything, and then I said, the lady. This is back during the Iraq War. I said, the owner has a son in Iraq fighting for this country. If I tell her that you approved it and then you're going back on your word, this lady has a temper. She's going to get really pissed and she's going to call Telemundo, the Spanish channel, and talk to them about you, and you're going to be all over the news. Say, I don't know if you want that. I'll leave it up to you. So he thought about it. He says, well, okay, let me think about it. And then he left the office, and I don't know where he went. And then he came back and said, okay, all right, man. He stamped it. He signed it. Done. Get out of here. Because sometimes the city play shit, do things like that. I don't know if they do it on purpose or they don't know what they're doing. I had a friend that he bought a house with a side lot, and it had 4 apartments in the rear, apartment building, with underneath garages under the apartments. So he went and made an offer. No, he went to the city and he said to the city, hey, I'm thinking of buying this property. I want to know if I could build on the side of the house. I can build another house in apartment buildings in the back. I think he had an acre or something, 3/4 acre. And the city looked up the address and they went through their books and bam, bam, bam. Oh, yeah, no, you can do that. No problem. Well, he went and bought the property. When he went back to build, they told him, no, you can't build there. He said, wait, I came here and I talked to someone. They told me yes. Why are you saying no? And what happened was that he kind of didn't get in touch with me or my father, because we would do work for him. That lot on the side had high power wires going right over it, and you can't build under those electrical wires. He had a tower. I got a tower over there, a tower across the street, and the wires are going through, and that's not allowed, because in case a tire breaks, a cable breaks or something, and it lands on the house, is going to catch on fire. It's going to be a big mess. So he couldn't build on that lot, and he got screwed. He spent all that money for something that he was hoping he was going to double his money with that investment, and he got screwed because of that. And the city didn't tell him. They just wanted that tax money. And I know other cases that the same thing was really getting windy. That people buy a property and they don't do the due diligence, and you gotta, I went to see a customer. He wanted to do a project on his corner of this house, and I said okay, and I gave him the price of the plans. He thought it was too high, and I said, well, listen, it's a big project, and I'll do the running around. You don't have to do anything. Well, let me think about it. All right. So one day He never called me back. One day I go to the city, and he was there with his wife, and they were in trouble because now what they did was they knocked down the whole house. Now they have to they have to pay for a new permit. They had to remeasure. They had to get it surveyed again because once you knock it down, you have to do a whole new process. If you leave up a wall or two, it's considered to be a remodel, which you pay less per foot, and you don't have to get it surveyed. He had to install a new meter. It cost him a bundle. And I overheard this on the counter. I was standing on the other side, and I just gave him a glance, and then I just looked away. He saw me there, and I could have said to him, "I told you so. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get screwed like that. You gotta know the process and what the city wants." He got screwed. Cost him a few more thousands, and he was cheap and said, "That money that you think you saved, now you're spending more because you did all this stuff on your own, and you don't know what the hell you're doing." And the city sometimes, some cities are really tricky. They they they, they take advantage of you. And I know a guy that he went. Jesus, the guy used to work for us was a carpenter, framer, and he went on his own. He was doing pretty good, and he went and he bought a house. Um, Before doing any due diligence or anything, he went and bought a house in a very nice neighborhood, very uppity class neighborhood. And when he when he went to pull the permits, they said, "Oh, you need to do a water pressure test." So he did a water pressure test, and it says you don't have enough water for fire. You need so many pounds. I forgot what they were now. And he says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I mean, how do I get?" I said, "Well, you're gonna have to bring in a main line that it was 6 inch, and now they wanted 8, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't use his crew. He had to pay a company to connect to the main line that goes down the avenue, which is I think 10, if I remember, and then tee off of that, bring it down the street, cut up the asphalt, dig down, bring it down to where the property line was, and then bring it in to the water meter. And also they wanted a not to the water meter. They wanted a fire hydrant. So that 6 inch line was going to a new fire hydrant. So there was enough water to put out a fire in case in the property that he bought. It cost them, Jesus Christ. I think it cost them 100,000 to do that because the main line was very far. You know, I think it was a block or two away. That cost them a bundle. So you gotta know what you're doing in the business. You gotta know all your facts. And I would do all the fact finding before doing anything and stepping up to the plate in buying a property. That's the thing, you know. If you're gonna fly a plane, you better know where the start key is. And you gotta know your business before you get into it. Some people make some big mistakes, and it costs them a lot of money, and some people just walk away because they didn't figure out all that extra expense. We bought a property that was abandoned. The well, not a property, a lot. It was a lot. I drove by. I see the trenches already dug out, and the foundation, I mean, dug out, and the plumbing was halfway done in weeds. are growing. And I drove by a couple of times, you know, like in a month, and there was nothing happening. Nobody was working there. The gate was closed. They had a chain link fence. And I talked to my dad. I said, "Hey, I found this lot abandoned. Apparently, somebody, you know, couldn't start it." We talked to our realtor. Our realtor looked into it, and bango, it was abandoned. The guy walked away. We bought it. Um, Not that the property was abandoned, it's just that it didn't get started. Something happened that the guy didn't have the money, or the bank couldn't get a loan. And the guy couldn't get a loan from the bank. I mean, he probably bought the lot, but he didn't have money to build it. Things like that happen. So we bought it and we built the apartment building that we still own. There's a house over here on the hill that this Latin guy, he looked Mexican. It's sitting on the edge of this drop. There's a bunch of little houses right there, and he bought this little piece of a little slot of dirt, you know. But he built a cute little house, really nice, and he was doing a lot of the work by himself. And I said, you know, that guy's sacrificing. He's working on the weekends. He comes in every time I have a little bit of money. We come in and put in a door, a couple of windows, that kind of thing. Well, the house has been empty for the past 2 years. Last year, they went and put up a white plastic fence. I went and got a number from one of the guys because I want to do that on the other property over here. And I want to see if I can put a piece of fence and take out that redwood that is pretty old already, and put a nice white plastic fence. And I got the number from the guys. And I just drove by today, and the place looks abandoned. I mean, the 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 two pillars in the front of the doorway, you know, supporting the little roof, the entryway, the boards are already curling up. He never primed them. He never painted them. They're facing the afternoon sun all day. The weeds, they're 4 and 5 feet high. Uh, there's never a car there. I don't know what's going on with that property, but that there's nobody living there. There's not even a for sale sign. I don't know what's going on. He probably ran short of money, but the house is finished. I don't know if the city has something to do with it. If he has to, you know, do something that they require, or it's a nice little house. Very well. It's a pretty design for the size. You know, I think it might be 1,200 square feet or so. It's got a little separate garage. That's the existing garage. I think it's a one-car garage. Existing garage away from, you know, because there's no more room on the side. That's when you start dropping. I don't know what's on the other side of the hollow wall, or, you know, the occasions. I don't know. But you gotta know what you're doing. I had this Oriental guy call me one time. He says, I wanna make an appointment with you for the whole day." And I said, "For the whole day, what do you got?" He goes, "I bought some lots in an auction, and I want to take you to them, and you tell me which ones I can build and how much you think it will cost." I said, "Okay." We did that. He bought 11 lots. Every lot was unbuildable because he went and bought in an area called Mount Washington. Well, Mount Washington, you're buying 4, maybe 6 feet of leveled land, and the rest just drops off. So that means you have to build up with caissons. You got to do retaining walls. You got to do a lot of stuff. That brings the prices up. And that area, it's known for shifting and moving. There's a few houses there, they built back in the day, but nobody else has built it because that's a very dangerous hill. It's a drop off. You can see it from the freeway. And I went there and I said, well, I wouldn't build here because I explained everything. And then I said, if you are going to build, it's going to cost you whatever it's going to be for a normal construction. You're looking at 2/3 more at least because of all the extra stuff you got to do to hold this house in place. We went to a place in Palos Verdes. Palos Verdes is very nice, but it's at the end of Palos Verdes. It's called Portuguese Bend. And I said, finally, you got a lot that's level and it's flat. You know, it's not hanging off a cliff. And I said, yeah, I could build you a nice house. And there was a house there, an old house from the 20s. But the house was kind of weird looking. It was facing like the wrong way or something. You know, it wasn't facing the road. It was facing to the side, you know. So I said, no, we can knock it down and we can, right here, we can put a really nice, 3,000, 4,000 square feet home, whatever you want, because you got the room. So so let's go to the city. So we went to the city. On the way to the city, I noticed that the road was paved new, and I said, okay, it kind of looked weird. The road kind of looked weird. I said they did this new pave, but the road is, it's up and down, and they didn't do a straight job. I don't know why. Anyways, I get to the city and I say, yeah, we have this. This is the address. We want to know what is the allowable size, because some places they don't allow you to build too big or too small. They got their requirements. And he says, he looked up the address. He goes, oh, Portuguese Bend. I go, yeah. And he says, which way you come to the city? Did you come by the coastal road? And I said, yeah, we came through that road. He said, did you notice that the road was kind of curvy and kind of up and down and, whoop-de-doo? And go, yeah. And it looked like it was done new. He says, we did that road 6 months ago. He says, it was straight. When we built it, it was straight. Now look at what it is. In that area, it's always shifting. That's why that house got turned around, facing the opposite way. And it looked kind of odd to me. But I said it's built in the 20s. I don't know what people were doing back then. So I told the Oriental guy, you can't build there. And the guy says, you can't, we're not allowed. And I said, what about the houses there? He goes, no, the house abandoned. Eventually we're gonna knock it down, but you can't build there because it's shifting all the time. You're gonna break a gas line, it's gonna have an explosion, you're gonna have all kinds of problems. He says, you can't build there, it's not allowed. I said, man, so this guy went to an auction and he bought unseen land because he got it on a brochure. And he went to the auction and he started bidding because they're selling for 15,000, 8,000, and he said, I'm getting a bargain. He paid 20 for one, 25 for the other one, thinking that he's getting a bargain. And they tell him how much square foot, which it is. It's let's say it's 50 by 150, but they didn't tell you that it's only 6 feet flat and the other 100 and some odd feet are straight down. They don't tell you that, and the guy just he got taken. He got taken. And that happens a lot in the business. My uncle bought a piece of lot that he still got in the desert. They were saying that they were going to build an airport, and they were selling like hotcakes. He bought a lot, 30 years ago, and the airport hasn't been built. They're not going to build an airport. It's just a lie to get people to buy lots in the desert. And let's say that you say, well, I don't care about the airport. I want a piece of lot in the desert. I'm going to make my house or a cabin. Or there's no water. They don't allow you to drill for water in the desert. There's a lot of lots being sold right now, basically untouched. You see the cactus and original vegetation because people got taken and they bought a piece of property where they didn't find out what's going on, what are the requirements, and what about this, what about that. They don't want you to build. They want people out of the desert, and they're pushing out the people that have been there from back in the day because they want the desert to be a desert again. They don't want people living in the desert. Not the whole area, but some of these areas are being protected and fenced off, and no water permits, no well, no septics. And people just get taken like that. And I went over there. It's one of the places like dove hunting. And in the morning it's real nice, man. Get the sunrise coming up. You see the colors in the desert, and sometimes you see rabbits and whatever. But middle of the day, you better get out of there. You're looking at 115. It's an inferno, and some people like it like that, which is fine. Some people like it, but there's a lot of cheating, a lot of lying, and a lot of requirements and conditions and all kinds of shit that the city now is asking. 'Cause they don't want people. They don't want people in the desert. There's a there's a community up where I go hunting that they wanted to shut it down and kick everybody out because somebody saw a Bigfoot. It was just another lie. They were saying they saw Bigfoot, and they wanted to make it into a backpacking area, and I say, who the hell is gonna backpack into 9 miles up a freaking mountain, the road, and then when you get to the flat spot, then you gotta walk another 30 or 40 to go back in there, and that's where the community is, and they wanted to shut it down. This is back in the 80s. There were people on the radio complaining and bitching, and they were really angry that they were lying, coming up with these stupid lies to make the area wilderness. They wanted to make it into a wilderness. Well, they got defeated. That didn't pass. But there was a guy that he bought 88 acres. I remember that I talked to him, and I was gonna buy 5 acres. He had lots of 5 and 10 acres, and he built a beautiful home, A-frame. He had the water tank and the windmill and everything. Well, that area, it gets gusty winds, and sometime in the year, I don't know when, but one time I went by and that windmill that was pumping water for the tank, it got twisted into a pretzel. The guy never repaired it. He never sold a lot. He had some horses, and he made it look cozy. The ranch, he had the fence, and his property he had. I think he kept 5 acres, and he had he built the driveway. He drilled for water, because you buy the lot and it's raw land, and some people did buy, not from him, but some people did buy further up, and they bought only 2 acres. But 2 acres there is going for $35,000. That's a little too high, and you have to do everything from scratch. There's no roads, there's no pumps, there's nothing. You gotta build. So people, what they do is they come in, they hire a Caterpillar with a driver. The guy cuts in a road, dirt road, get rid of all those trees. They're pinyon pines. They're the small ones. They're only 12, 15 high, he knocks a path, and then you come in, you put a trailer, like a mobile home trailer, up on stilts, on blocks or whatever they use, and you live there. There's some people, but then when the snows come, those flat roof shelters, they get smashed in. So some people, what they do is they build a wooden structure above that to help with the snow, so the snow would shed off. So um, I always wanted to buy. I almost did. I was gonna buy. I think it was 5 acres for 10 grand, or 10 acres for 5 grand. One of those. And I talked to the lady and I said, well, what about the road and what about the water? And he goes, well, you're gonna have to do everything. Then they weren't selling, so then they started uh, adding the pump. They dig a well, they put a pump, and then all you have to do is bring in your tank, and you can fill it up with the pump. They have some electrical running in, so but still they haven't been selling too much. Um, and especially now the way things are in this state, everything is so freaking expensive. It's incredible. I just saw in the news that 40% of the population it's talking about leaving California. 40%. Some people like living here. I like living here. As far as the weather and the 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 state, it's beautiful. You know, we got the mountains and we got the ocean and we got the desert. So you can pick. You can go visit one, go the other. Vegas is over here. Mexico, a couple hours away from LA. Palm Springs, San Diego. You know, you got a lot of places, but the politics in the state are disgusting. Disgusting. They are losing their minds in the state. Talking about pushing this agenda with the sex. There's so many sexes now, so many. And I said, you know, I don't care if you think you're a woman, if you're a guy, and if you're a guy, you think you, if you're a woman, you think you're a man. You know, I don't give a shit what you think about if you, but don't push it on me. Don't be telling me that I have to swallow this bullshit. That because you're a man and you think you're a woman, that you can have a baby. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You don't have a womb. You don't have, you know, you can cut your penis off and they, you know, build you a hole or whatever you think, but you're not a woman. You are not a woman. You don't have the XY chromosomes to be a woman. You're one or the other. There's no. You're talking about there's a dozen. There's some people say there's many, and it's so ridiculous. People are losing their minds. And that reminds me of this guy that I saw this video that he had an apparition that Christ came along and told him that before before the Lord shows up, people are going to start losing their minds, and it's true. I saw this more than what 10 years ago. It's true. The idiots that are running the country, the idiots that are running the education board, that now you have to fly the flag, the gay flag, and all this shit. I don't care if you're gay; it doesn't bother me. And don't tell me that I have to accept this crap. You know, you can identify to be. Let's say you think you're a camel. I don't give a shit. It doesn't mean you can cross the desert. And these people that think they're a woman, it doesn't mean you're gonna have a baby. You can't have a baby. You cannot have a baby. Stop lying to yourself. Stop wasting my time. There's more important things going on than listening to this bullshit. Yeah. How come they don't say they think they're a bird and they say, okay, jump and fly. Show me how you fly. Nobody comes up with that one. Huh? Yeah, I don't know why it's so windy now. Next week, during the week, I'm gonna do a video on the boat, and I might take it out as long as it's not windy. I don't want to be fighting the wind every time somebody's gonna park, come into the slip, they start hitting and losing control, and you know. Hi, Papa. He is so at peace because I'm here. If I'm not here, he starts. He goes really, really stressed, very stressed. Well, I don't mind keeping him company. So, yeah. And jumping up to a different subject, I'm going to start loading my 150s and my 160s. I like the 160. It gives you a little bit more oomph. It flies as good as the 150, and they're easier to get. So I got a box of the E-Tip 160. I did get a box of 150 that I found, and I got another 150 that is all copper. The solid brass, I think the solid brass. They have very good uh, ballistics, and it flowers up when it hits. Very good. So I'm gonna start loading that, and I'm just gonna put 46 grains of what do you call it? Vog powder. And I was thinking of doing that today, uh, but 6 o'clock he's gonna start howling about food in 10 minutes. You watch. He's like a clock. All right, guys. I'm gonna kick back and finish up my cigar. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.